Welcome to the Book Over, a little book club where we talk about books, especially the ones that give us book hangovers. I'm Sarah, and with me is Megan.
Hi, everybody.
Today we are talking about Ironside Academy Book 1, Plier, by Jane Washington. Yay!
Yeah. And there's an emphasis on that title because we both were unsure how to pronounce it or pronouncing it wrong, even though it is like a ballet dance term. So I blame the dyslexia for me.
I was literally calling it Plier in my head.
Calling it filler. Like, why? And the thing is, I was in the groups and I know people were saying, oh, they're all dance terms. And I was just like, oh, it must be some kind of dance term I don't know. I took dance classes. Like, I only took like one ballet class, but still, I don't understand.
I was wondering though, because
know the position.
right, I did wonder, but then it was when I finally did the audiobook. So I read the book first, and then I had to drive for work, so I did the audio part of the audiobook. And then when I heard it on the audiobook, I'm like, oh yeah, French.
And for me though, I started out with the audiobooks because I have a little bit of trepidation when it comes to the third person POV. Let me just say right now that if anybody has any issue, like this is the book for people who are not used to third person POV.
Totally
it
fine.
made like if I had to choose which way it was written, I would choose for it to be written this way.
Yes.
So I like had the audiobook and the book itself. Like I did that the thing with you can like sync it. Yeah, which is really cool. And like I think the other ones that I really liked are Sarah J. Maas's books in third person POV. But this like just like overtook any of them. Like I was so enthralled. It was like perfectly written. And the narrator does a fantastic job. And male voices, okay, are hard for some females to do. Totally understandable. Not only does she do a great job with them, but like there's 10 freaking guys. Like, what a champ of a narrator. Like she is perfection.
So I have not finished the first book in audio, but I felt the same way. I was like, this is really good. And the third person reading it and listening to it, I was worried. So Megan recommended this book, which is so funny because she kept saying this Jane Washington book. And I'm like, okay. Then I sent her like some contest giveaway for the book. And I'm like, I've been keeping this on my TBR or something.
No. Sarah, I discovered you in a group. Was that it? In a group.
Yeah.
I think you I think you tagged me in the group or something.
Yeah. And you're like,
I saw you in the group. And I was like,
that's the book. So I know the book from the cover because I think the cover is gorgeous. I love the cover. I've been having it on my TBR. I just haven't read it yet. And so I'm like, oh, and you're like, don't worry about the third person. I'm like, okay.
And that's coming from me, who's like,
and the third person is fine because what I like is that we don't have to change POVs to get somebody else's perspective, right? It will go from Isabel's storyline to then all of a sudden, we have Theo in there, in like Theo this da. And then like, so I like that smooth switch over in one chapter.
It's it's very smooth the way it happens. Like I know who they're talking about, their feelings. It's just, I've never read third person POV where it's been like, and maybe it's because Jane's so used to, well, I don't know. Well, from all the books I read of hers, the first person POV, maybe it's because she has that background doing first person. She's able to like write third person in such a way that like it does, it translates very well for us, especially in reverse harem. I think I've only ever tried one other book/series that was third person POV that was reverse harem. Because this genre, I mean, think about it. Like, can you think of another third person POV reverse harem? Right? It's the genre traditionally.
I'm like, no, just
and Jane is an OG. Like, she was out here writing reverse harem like early days. Yeah, like, and slow burn, like, because I feel like reverse harem started with the slow burns, and almost a little more YA. And she like the charcoal tear. I really loved that series. That was like early days. So this, just feels like I'm being brought back to the early days of RH. but in a way that's kept up with the times, and her writing has evolved, and it's so good. Like, this is just like everything I wanted. I didn't know I needed, but like
Right.
somewhere deep down, like really needed, because I have been having, there's like this
Me
reverse
too.
harem burnout where like
I've
I'm
been
Mhm.
craving a good reverse harem,
Yeah.
and then I've been
Mhm.
craving something. I've been trying to find one with like shifters or something in it, right?
Mhm.
And I haven't. I'm like, I read it. I'm like, this is just not what I'm looking for, and I'm just looking for
Mhm.
something like really good, like Hannaford Prep was, right? Which
Yeah.
we'll talk like this is so like reminds me. Everyone who I've recommended this book to now has come back and be like, this reminds me of Lips and the Guys. And I'm like, yes, but like without them bullying, like it's
Yeah.
just like it's so like that, yes. So
Yes. And the back and forth and the like, yeah, I know what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I but like it's hits it because like she even says like it's Omega verse, but not. It's like reimagined
Yeah.
without the shifting and stuff. So I'm like, this is actually like I didn't like you said, I didn't know I needed this, and I did, and now it's caused a problem.
What will fill this void?
Nothing else is living up to this at the moment for me.
Same. Same.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay. So like when like I'll fill up things and say like what are the tropes that I'm like what I don't want in a book. I hate to say that I'm not a huge Omegaverse fan. I've read it. I'm
No.
usually not. I do find it more interesting when they're like, oh, they don't actually like they're not actually wolves and they don't actually shift. But I mean, like the teasers and everything, and just like knowing Jane's past work, I was like, this interests me. But yeah, I had no idea. Like the way she did it
Mhm.
is so perfect, and it's not just she's not an omega, like, you know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Yeah.
she went further down that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. Okay.
So I yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I
Like
enjoyed
let's talk.
yeah, let's get
How are you
into it.
doing it?
Yeah.
Um, so I had this thought, and I was telling Megan because I feel like the book, what for the first book, what I feel like is one of the important thing as the reader is learning who everybody is.
Mhm.
So like what I did, because there's first names and last names being talked about, I like went back to college, you guys, and I was like handwriting my notes as soon as someone popped up. I'm like, this person, and I like whatever I just learned about them. And so I have like a little
Same.
scrap piece of paper of like handwritten note on like each character. And then that's how like later on when they were like mentioned, I'm like, oh, I know who that is. And I knew that eventually you get that anytime you read, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of characters.
There's a lot to keep track of. I did the same thing, except I did mine on, like, my little notes app. And the same thing, I was, like, being like, "Pian like, happy birthday, piano guy."
Yeah.
Like, doesn't like bullies.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, you were compelled to. It was fun. It's like
Mhm.
it was fun to be like, "Okay, who is who?"
Yeah.
Like, not being spoiled, like, you're like, "Wait, who's gonna be in the harem? Like, is it gonna be all of them? Wait, how many are there? Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, wait, this is the brother? This is wait, they're twins? Wait, they're not twins. Are they saying they're not twins? Because they
Yeah.
said we should be the twin." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're kinda highlighting and
Yeah.
you're trying to, like, find these clues of, like, "Wait a minute, like, what's going on?" Like, it's just so fun. I just oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
I can't like,
Well, even
what a
like with
reading experience.
Gray, I was like, when I found out he was like invisible, I'm like, okay, invisibility. But then
Mhm.
I was like, gay? And then I was like,
Right?
and then I wrote, oh, she thinks he's gay. I thought
Yeah, like that
that
trope
he
of,
was
like
pretending to be so women wouldn't bother him. So I have a note literally saying thinks he's gay, LOL, on my paper. And then when everything happens, I was like, oh wait, like he is. But then I read that he's actually just sexually fluid. So you can
but
like,
that was the first girl he was attracted to, though.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
it's
loved
so
that.
fun.
Like,
Yeah.
and also, like, so I really love that for this series in general to explore that, and his like, I don't wanna get too much into the second book because
Not
we're
yet.
talking about the first book,
Yeah.
but I do have to say I like that it's explored what it means when you have when like that sexual confusion where he's like, wait a minute, like I've identified as this, and like what does it mean if I'm bonded, mated, like yeah. So
Oh
I
gosh. And
really
all that. And that happens at the end of the
Mhm.
book. And that I have so many questions and worries about everybody's feelings and being okay with stuff, but we'll talk about
Yeah.
that later.
Killian is just like, okay, I think Theo and Killian are like the two teddy bears of alphas. If you could have a teddy bear alpha, maybe like we'll call them grizzly bears. 'Cause
Aw,
alphas are
yeah,
brutal. But Killian is like, oh my, like I just love
love
him.
him.
Like,
Love him.
oh my God. I just like from the moment he like pulls her in and like helps her, there's something about Killian.
Well, but
He's definitely my
Theo
favorite.
too. I have
Theo
a really
too.
soft spot for
Mm.
Theo because they have that initial connection in the library when
Yeah.
she helps him with his ferality, and then
Hmm.
like him like eventually being like, yeah, I want to be your friend, and him being like, I have like a really big connection with Theo, and then Killian too, like finding that he was following her to make sure she was okay, and but
Oh.
also that she wasn't saying anything. So there's this like it's very interesting because there's a lot of like you are reminded a lot that these guys are alpha. So they might have that caring or I kind of care for you, but they're also there for a different reason that we don't fully know yet. And
Hmm.
they also are alpha. So they're top dog and they're looking out for themselves. Like it's
Yeah.
not really a pact mentality of like, I'm going to take care of these people yet. So for them to get these little sparks of like worry or
Hmm.
caring for her, for Isabel, and then going, that's not my problem. Like they're literally
Yeah.
convincing themselves to like separate themselves from her, which is
And
just
then
so interesting to me.
me too. And like how everyone is worried too because they see this connection. There is like some mated things thrown in. So like you're getting the feeling that okay, they're worried that they might be mates and they're alluding to something. They're alluding that he like they're it seems like they're hedging their bets on Theo for some reason. Like Theo's the one that can't mess up. And
Yeah.
at first you're like, is it because of his power? And they're scared that like, he'll get possessive and go off. Is there more to this? Like, why are they so worried about their friendship? Like why can't he date her, like what is it, like why can't like I'm reading it thinking okay, so he can have a fake girlfriend but he can't have someone he really cares about because if something happens to her, his
Oh.
illegal power will go off. That's what I was
Oh.
thinking at
I
first,
wasn't thinking that. I was just thinking that it was messing with the plan and that if
but
she was involved because she's a
mhm.
Sigma, that would draw too much attention or something.
I did think that, but that wasn't what I
I
was
like
thinking at first.
yours. I
It
like
wasn't
yours.
but I get it now. Now I do think, now that we know what we know, I think it's the plan. I do think it's whatever plan that they have in place because, well, let's talk about the system here, which I love. This has a lot of things I love in it because I grew up on X-Men. Okay. So
Oh.
I am a huge, like, fan of like books with powers and stuff like that. And this whole idea of this academy. And I love that it's like put a reality show on it. So let's take a group of people that we're scared of, kind of like they do with X-Men, oppressed people, put them in these colonies. We're scared of them, but we can use them for certain
Mhm.
things. Society's interested in them. They can be our celebrities. And in America, you know, who are our royals? Who's royalty? Celebrities.
Mhm.
They are, millionaires. Taylor Swift, I think, is a billionaire now. I heard.
But I
Like,
love her.
I
She's
love her
an
too. That's
amazing businesswoman. Like, sometimes I'm like, "Are you really this nice, or is this, like, a business plan gone, like, super well?"
I think it's both. I
Yeah,
honestly think it's both because I'm a Swiftie.
yeah.
But like that's the perfect example. I mean, it's American royalty. Like everyone, most people love her, love her or hate her. So that's what they're competing
Mhm,
like American Idol or something, but to the max to be
mhm.
number one. Like one person gets to become like an idol.
Yeah,
They get to become, basically a god amongst society,
yeah.
a celebrity, and get out of these oppressive, horrible neighborhoods that they're put into. And so, of course, it's going to be like, you can't speak of rebellion. You've got these powers where only there can only be one. So I think it's one every year. So you know, again, I don't want to get too far into what we learn in other books about how old they are and stuff. So you kind of have to wonder, okay, who's in what year? You know, what's the plan for them to all win? They have to have talent. But it makes a lot of sense because that's how our society functions. Like the sports players and the
Mhm.
celebrities are making more money than the firefighters and police officers. And we don't have royalty. We have that. And they have so much influence over us.
Mhm.
So of course they want to compete for this position. And then her father is in that position. So
Right.
is oppressed. And then it's just, it's so good. And of course she's not gonna like alphas. I mean, how brilliant is this
Mhm.
plot? And then trending on social media. That's what it is these days. It's all about views
Gosh,
and
yeah.
likes. And that's how people get the only way without being a nepotism baby, you get famous these days seems to be like social media. Like that's how you get plucked up from obscurity.
By the way, follow
So
us on social media.
yes. Save, like, follow, subscribe. We never say that. We should say that. So sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant, but I
Yes.
just love the way that this plot is
Yeah.
done. I think it's really brilliant, and
It's
it's
just
funny that
so reflective. And then what I
it's
love with
so smart.
Isabel, like with her
Mhm.
father thing, is that she's, so not into the social media and the likes and stuff. She's like, I'm not
Yeah,
going to do things for this. And then she's kind of being forced to more and more like do to get those likes, to get into dorm A to be a little more safe. Like,
because she's being bullied
mhm,
because of her station in life and because of who her father is, and then it seems like, she talks
stay
about her
in your
mother too.
lane.
Yeah, and she talks about her mother, like, she really misses her mother, and her
Yeah.
mom, I think she kinda, like, has this vision of what living in the colonies are like, and,
Mhm.
like, I think she'd rather have been there, like, she'd rather have been poor with, like, a happy family than living in, like, a gilded cage.
Yeah.
So,
I think
she's not interested in that at first.
she's not, and I think she's gonna get the guys have commented a few times that, like, she doesn't really understand, like, her power as a Sigma and the
Mhm,
relationship that can be between an Alpha and a Sigma, because she's witnessed her parents' relationship, and it was a very toxic, not healthy relationship, so she doesn't
mhm.
actually like, she's like, "I don't want a mate. I don't want this. I don't want
Yeah,
to be my mother," and it's like, I don't and it's like, it's so sad because it's like, it
mhm,
could be better because you look at these other guys and I'm like, "Okay, not all of them are the best right now," but you
mhm.
can see that, like, if she ended up being a mate with Theo or with, Killian, like, they would be decent mates for her. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
mhm.
yeah.
And it's just, it's that they have other things on their mind, getting themselves out of,
But I
you
do
know,
appreciate
what they're
Theo,
in.
like, really pushing. He's like, "I wanna be her friend. She's going to be my
Yeah.
friend." And I like Killian checking in on her because he's like, "I can't lie. Are you okay? This is what's actually happening." Because no one else was
I
gonna,
love
like, put her in the
that.
loop, and I'm like, I love that he
Mhm.
did that for her because it's like, you need that friend who's actually going to be honest with you and be like, "I know this is probably hard for you, and just so you know, this is why this is actually happening." Instead of her being like, "Why do you have a girlfriend all of a sudden?" You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And as a reader too, like,
Oh, my
I think
heart
we
broke.
all collectively were like, "No, don't do it, don't do it." We knew it was fake, but we're like,
Yeah,
"Don't
but,
do
well, yeah, you see the other guys with fake girlfriends too, and they're, like, totally dismissing
it."
them, and I'm like, "Why are we like, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
we know about Isabel, kind of, we just kinda talked about her.
Mhm.
Should we go down the list really, really quick of all the characters? And then we
Mhm.
can share, like, who maybe are surprise favorites? Because I do love Theo and Killian, but I have some other ones that I would not expect myself. Um, and now, so as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, I'm doing that RH thing where I'm like, yeah, but so and so and so and so, and like, I kind of love them
It's
all.
that why choose mentality. That's what
Yeah,
a good why choose is.
it,
When all of them are very distinctive and different,
mhm.
and it's hard to choose.
Yeah,
Like, I love that.
yeah. Okay, so we have Elijah Reed, who's the
Mhm.
first one we kind of meet, but we don't know who he is, and he's the happy birthday piano guy that saves her in class, kind of.
Doesn't like bullies.
He doesn't like bullies, and
Mhm.
he does dance as well,
Mhm.
and I
Is
don't
very close with Spade. Like,
with
they're,
Faith,
like,
with
2
Gabriel.
minds. I think they're both very brainy.
Yes.
And I believe Reed is also the one who does the
Yes, he's
security
like,
cameras.
yeah,
He's
the techie
techie.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we know yet what his like talent
In book 1 or book 2? Are we talking just book 1?
both, I think. I mean, it's online. So if you go,
Yeah, it's on
there's
Jane's
a
chart.
cheat sheet of what their
Yeah, I love that
all
sheet.
their things is. So book one, let me find him. Where are you?
Yeah, in book 1, we definitely don't
It's
know. In book 1,
unknown. Yeah.
we only know a
Everybody's
couple.
almost unknown.
Yeah.
So Okay, so then we have Gabriel Spade, which he's the other dancing guy. He's super smart. Um, and he's on like that save wink, lave wink with Elijah. So yeah.
I feel like go through it to talk about each character, I'm gonna need to talk a little bit into book 2. I just like because I really love Spade and I can't not
Right,
talk
because
about him.
the
We
going in his
have
bedroom
to.
was book 2, right? When she went in his
Yeah,
bedroom. Okay. Okay.
I feel like because we don't get to know all of them, and
It's
we
hard.
have
Book 1, you don't get to know all of them because like Nico Hart, we barely see
no.
in
He's
book
all book
1.
2.
And he's
Yeah,
like, I'm keeping my distance. So I'm not sure about Nico, but I think what I've seen in book 2 of him, I really like. So guys, we're gonna have a book 2 episode like right away.
yeah.
So don't worry.
But I am gonna give a spoiler warning because I have to talk about Spade. Like I love his little OCD. Like
Oh yeah.
not little, I shouldn't say that. I have OCD. I like that he has OCD. Okay, like
No, but I liked
I'm,
what I
I'm
saw of it and her like going,
mhm.
oh, okay, like understanding him kind of. Like she didn't judge.
Yeah,
She was just like, oh, okay. I
and
love
helpful
Isabel.
and helpful.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, we talked about Theo. So Theo has a twin, which we'll
Hmm.
find out more about in book 2. Sorry again, book 2. Moses Kane, and
I think more in book 1 that they aren't actually twins. It is kind of sad
it's
that
kind
they're
of sad, and he's the Valentine's Day. Did
kiss.
Valentine's
Yeah,
Day happen in book 1? Yes, it
it
did.
happens in book 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
So book 1 starts with Isabel being 16 and starting off in the school. And then after
Mhm.
like first chapter or second chapter, it changes to the following year after her birthday.
Yeah, I
And then
enjoy the
she's
pacing of like that. Yes.
turning 18 in that one. So like
Hmm.
it ends with her turning 17. And then the next book, by the end of book 1, she's 18.
Hmm.
So I like that too. Cause at first I'm like, oh wow, like we're gonna do 1 year at a time. And I kind of liked that like jump. Okay,
Hmm.
anyway, so Moses is the twin.
Hmm.
The next one I have on the list is Oscar.
You just skipped right over Moses. I like me some Moses, Sarah.
Okay, sorry. Moses, I'm still trying to figure him
That's the
out.
first kiss. That's her first kisses with Moses. That's
Yeah. And
important,
he was
okay?
okay with it. And Theo, they all made a big deal about how he was
He
like,
wanted it. He wanted it. He doesn't want to like her, but he does.
you're right. You're right. Yeah.
And he's got the for
Morality. Hmm.
morality too. And I feel like Theo and him clash a lot, but
Hmm.
I feel like there's this deep, deep, deep love and protectiveness they have for each other. And I feel like Moses is motivated by his protectiveness of
Hmm.
Theo. That's what I feel.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's good. Okay. So can we move to Oscar now?
Yes.
Okay, so
Go for it.
Oscar, we get like a couple
I feel
glimpses
like
of
he's so
Oscar.
beloved. He's so beloved. Like I think he like if you did like a poll, I think he'd probably get like
We're gonna
he's
be
not
a no.
everyone's favorites, but he'd get the most votes.
I loved how like he witnessed what happened in the chapel when Isabel finds out about her mother. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I like how like when she goes up because of her father and she does that blackout thing and she goes up on the roof, like he saves her. And I was waiting for them to be mates at that time.
Right? I
I
love
was
that
so
fake
like,
out.
why
Like
is this not
what?
happening? Because that would be
A
perfect.
great fake out. I
It was
love
a
that
great
fake
fake
out.
out. Yeah.
But I
And
love
then
at the end, I love at the end that the we find out the reason for that was so that they know it wasn't because they were all in close proximity. Because at the end of book 1, we do know that they're all mates. And we know because Oscar says it, he was around her when she was like on
dying.
death's door,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a proximity thing.
No.
So I like that that happened to like show
So
everyone that's not what it's about.
yeah, yeah. And that because that would worry me. The main thing would worry me that it's just like
Yeah.
somebody who was near you for it that you might have slight like it there was more. So I'm like, this tells me that there's more to that mate connection
Mhm.
opposed to the because she's
Just
met all the
coincidental.
guys at least once before that incident happens. And so
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. But I love that he can do the chaos
Oh, that is
of
such a cool
yeah,
power.
yeah.
And I find it very fascinating that whenever he does it, she starts to hear like her power starts to kick in. And we learn more about her power in book
Mhm,
2. But
mhm,
whenever he does chaos,
mhm.
it kicks in for her and she thinks she's crazy. So I'm like, I wonder what the correlation there
Right,
is. Like,
right.
why is
I
it
think
whenever he does it that is
I feel
that
like
part of
whenever
it?
any of them does something, she has a harder time and something happens, like with
Hmm.
her. So I think that's part of that connection they all have. And
It's
like
a
why
cope.
Sigmas are probably, I'm wondering if it will end up finding out that Sigmas are actually like equal or superior to the alphas.
Like in power.
Yeah.
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 Well, and I think they should definitely helps balance, and maybe also it's a distress thing. Like she's in like that chaos, no matter what, is going to stress you out or put you in distress. But also, it's very interesting because when Oscar does it, somebody from his past comes up, so she meets these
That's book
dead.
2.
Really, that's book
Book
2. Wait,
2.
the roof is book 2.
That guy doesn't show up until book 2.
I thought the roof was book 1. It's all bleeding
Her
together.
mom shows up. Her mom's voice shows up in
Okay.
book 1. Yeah. Okay. So,
Well, slight spoilers. I feel like
it's okay if you're
listening to this,
yeah,
you've read both.
hopefully you read both. I'll put a warning at the beginning or on the
Just
description.
very, very slight.
Kian Ashford.
I love him and his like divination.
What bothers me is he's just so quiet about it. Like I just like he'll read the card and then no, like he'll look at the card and you'll be like,
Was
oh,
he
of
quiet?
course, you know, like he'll say something, but he won't explain it to her. Like, but he probably understands what he's reading in the cards more, but he's not.
And that's what bothers her too. I love that.
Yeah.
He does it on purpose.
Yeah.
He doesn't want her knowing.
Well, I mean, if you tell somebody, it's going to change things, right?
True. But I also think he likes to be like a little like, I feel like he has that personality where he's like, even if it wasn't anything that was like really like something big, he would like make it out to be, because I just feel like he has that personality of like kind of like poking at her in a fun way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna like let me like
he
push my
flirts
desk
with
up
her
to you.
differently than he does with the other girls too. Have you picked
Yeah.
He's totally different with her, and I love that like they paired up one class, and then the next class it's like, oh, these are gonna be your partners for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
that's such a great
yeah,
that
yeah.
happens. He's like the kind of guy that's like into you and will like kick your desk instead of being like, hey, I'm into you. Like, let me just like, bother you. Like, let
I'm
me
gonna
like
bother you a little bit so
like
you can't stop thinking about me. Yeah.
yeah. I really love his character. I think he's so
Yeah.
playful. I think there's way more to him than meets the eye, like, on the surface, especially when it comes to women. I really like him.
I do too. He's one of my tops. Yeah.
Same.
And I liked that she tried to do something for him for his birthday. Like she got to know him a little bit, and they go up on the roof. Like she takes him to the library, like, and then that whole incident happened though that caused the whole thing, and then caused more things.
That was so cute. And
I
I think
thought that was really sweet.
it meant the world to him. It
Mhm.
really did. You could just tell. And that's, I think, when they really, like, it solidified for him that it wasn't just him having these feelings.
Yeah.
I loved that. Oh, and like when they're eating, like, 'cause a couple times they were eating together. Oh, wait, that's book 2 when like that scene
This
happened.
is so hard, you guys, like not doing a combo episode. Okay. Nico Hart, we don't know that much about him besides he's like a tennis player.
Yeah, slight spoiler. He does help her. I have to say that, like, it is cute that he helps her train a bit to protect herself. Like in the second book, I have to say that because, like, there's not a ton in the first book about him.
Yeah, there's not. Well, and that takes us to the professors too. There's not as much with the professors. Well, just like a couple of run-ins, and they're very standoffish.
Which I like, because then you're not thinking, oh, the professors are going to be in the harem unless you've like already read, unless you're in the group and you're like, or unless you're reading the tropes where it says student teacher. Like if you didn't do that,
I didn't read that, and then you told me there was like 10 in it, and I was like, wait, then that means.
Wait, did I? I thought you like texted me like,
maybe,
and I said you don't want to know.
I think I told you I didn't want to know, but then I said I wanted to know things. I don't remember.
I told you all of them, but I think I purposely left out the professors because I like to do stuff like that.
I know you twist words. You do like little, yeah. So you have Callan West, and then you have Michael Easton.
So the East and West thing.
I love the East and West thing.
They're East and West. I'm like, are they related? Like, but they can't because of the last names. I'm like, what are the odds of East and West? Right. That's fun. That is fun. Maybe they're cut. Like, I don't know. That's just funny.
I don't know how they know each other, all that stuff. But yeah. And again, like book 2, you get to know them a little bit. I still need to warm up to them a little bit, but
they will say that they are like, they like one of them especially gives like Daddy Dom vibes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And they're very much older and the ones that I think are really running the show, puns intended, when it comes to like what's the plan is. Like there's something secretive going on that we're trying to figure out. You know, I have my theories, ideas. We learn more in book 2, but I think they're the ones that are like, you know, and I think like they always say, oh, so and so knows somebody like in that are on the council or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I think that they foster like relationships in order to
Yeah.
get things taken care of.
Yeah.
And I think we do know that we do know by the end that the one controls the storms.
Mm-hmm.
And we do know that that there's girls involved, because at the very end of book 1, he creates a storm.
Yeah, but
at the end of book 1.
I don't think we see that. Do we see that
We
until
do.
okay, we do see that. So
Yeah.
okay, because I'm getting things
Mhm.
mixed up. So let's talk about some other side characters really quick. So we have Eve, who's another dorm O person.
Mhm.
It'll be friends, our beloved Isabel. She ends up showing up a lot of times, helps her out, offers her room. And so Isabel's feeling like really connected and like a good friendship with her and stuff, which makes me so happy that she's getting a friend. But
It is nice. It
I
does feel
do have
yeah.
notes though in the book where I'm like, I'm just read so many bully books
Mhm.
where I just have a hard time trusting people. And I know that alphas aren't doing bullying. Can I leave it at that?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I'll say my piece about that. Sometimes when I read books and I go, "Oh, no matter how hard of a time the character has, she always finds one friend." Like you know, like, oh, that's such a trope, you know, that
Yeah.
there's always like one person, like what are the odds that they would find like one good friend?
Mhm.
I mean, it's nice that they do. Like I want them to have a good girlfriend or something, but I did think, oh,
Yeah.
shouldn't. Yeah.
We're like, yeah.
I did have that thought. That's all I'm gonna say about book 1.
I
I
went
had
back
that
and
thought,
forth a
but
few times.
then I trusted it. I mean,
Yeah, we
I
went back and forth and stuff about it. I did in my head reading it. I
Mhm.
was like, this is good. I don't know, and so forth. And then when you reread it, you kind of pick up on things too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then we have Bellamy.
Because I do wanna say, I do remember that she, like, always liked Killian. Like, she was very much, like,
Obsessed with them.
very yeah, like, loved to go to the like, and even knowing he was gay,
Mm-hmm.
she just was very, you know, and it was very she had an yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And it's just saying, going back, it's just something to
Mm-hmm.
ponder
Mm-hmm.
in book 1.
Yes.
Like at that
Um,
Valentine's party. Okay.
then Bellamy. So I don't think Bellamy is as bad as he's made to look of,
Mhm.
but I think he did set her up at the beginning. But I don't think he's like, so he has his friend Cross who's like out to get Isabel, right? And then Isabel
Yeah.
kind of killed him and then he came back to life, or he didn't fully
He
die,
he
right?
wasn't fully dead,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so he's still like after her. Um,
Mhm.
but Bellamy, like even there was a time where like Isabel gets, is this in book 1 where she gets kind of like drugged when
Yes,
she's leaving the
yes.
party, and then she's like, and so Bellamy like basically was like, it wasn't me, but maybe it was somebody else. Like he
I
hinted
feel like he
at,
said that in book 2 that it wasn't
oh,
him, when and then
sorry
he alludes to
guys.
it. I think that's okay. I mean, it's
But I
okay. I
even was
don't that's
like,
not
I don't
something
think it, I'm getting in book 1, I was getting the
Mhm.
vibes that Bellamy wasn't like the vicious bully, like where he would
Yeah.
physically
It was his
harm
friend.
somebody.
Yeah.
I think he's actually, because he keeps asking about Cross and what happened between them, and also in book
He's
2.
worried.
And
Like, he's
I'm getting
worried.
that worried vibe, but then that's when I go, stop being that character and just use your words.
Yeah.
Use your
Well,
words and be
because
like, but I can
he
see not
also
letting the
is
enemy know that you're watching somebody who's close to you too. Like
but
why
it's
would he let you
also
know?
he's also still a bad guy, because even if he's not the worst guy, like he's not gonna like try to murder and
Yeah. But they could be like
you. He's
frenemies where they're like, we're keeping a
yeah,
distance, but we can help each other out when it benefits.
true. And there is this hierarchy regardless of the alpha, beta, omega. So like they do act a certain way towards people. And then it's a competition. And then it's also what's gonna get me like viewpoints and scene points. And oh, she's popular, so I'm gonna talk to her now. So I do have to remain skeptical. I don't think that he's a mastermind trying to get her,
No.
but I am a little skeptical because like hey, she's in a good position. She's
She
hanging out with all the alphas. She's getting lots of
and he
views.
wants those points. So like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't fully trust him, but I also don't think he's like vicious.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel you. I feel you.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
that's book
book,
1.
well, book
It's a little
one,
bit.
we should state that book 1 ends with her
Oh yeah.
dying because of she's trying to save
Theo
Theo
gets
from the
upset because of what happened at the rooftop, right? So
yes.
like they do the whole thing for Ashford for Kian, and
Wait,
then he gets upset because of heights and stuff,
no,
and
that
like
was book 1.
that
Oh,
was
with the
book 1,
father
and then
didn't
they
he?
end
Oh,
up
okay,
in
okay.
the
That's what I thought.
dorm,
I'm getting confused. Okay.
and
Yes.
then they end up upstairs at the dorm, and then Theo
Yeah.
finds out stuff, and he starts getting his ferality,
And then she
and
takes it.
she starts to try take it, and then it doesn't another alpha kind of
Moses.
start getting upset.
So then Moses's virality starts kicking in and she can't help it. She doesn't try to take it, but she does. One of
Yeah.
the alphas gets upset and orders her, and she's trying to fight it because her father would order her. She tries to fight the order and it's hurting her. And I think it was Killian who saw and like ordered it. One of them saw and like tried to order her down. So
Yeah.
she's like losing all this strength. She's like draining
Yeah.
herself.
And then
What
her
was that?
mom's like, just let go. It's the end. And like,
Yeah.
oh, so then, but I
She
like that
died.
it doesn't end right there, right? So then they're like,
Yeah.
everyone's
Thank
like,
God.
she's dead. And they're like, no, 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 no,
This
no,
is
no.
what
And they
happened.
take her downstairs and like basically
The
nurse her.
eyes.
The
Yeah.
eyes happen to everybody, and they're
And
like,
they all freak out when they realize they're like checking each other's eyes. Like one of the professors is like dealing with Theo, who's like passed out,
yeah,
and like looks in the mirror and is like, "Oh my God, like I don't even know this like student." Like,
because they all
you
get one
know,
eye, right? Only one eye changed to that, like everybody's eye color eye for the alphas, but
I I
hers,
I thought all of their eyes
both
changed
her eyes is changed. I can't remember. I
to
thought only one of theirs did because
I
they
know they
only
have to
did
get
one contact, and she did one to just show that she only got one, because I think that's normal is to only have one. Like you get each other's. I think you exchange each other's. Like if like you and I were,
yeah, like
I would have one of your eyes.
their eye color changes. Yeah. So they only got her eye color.
Yeah. So
But
they
I
and then
okay,
she
so it's
got
only
everybody's,
okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry guys,
And
if
then
we're wrong,
yeah. Yeah.
sorry. But
So
yeah,
then
I
she
found that really
wakes up.
interesting.
Well, yeah, and
She
then I
wakes
find it
up in
interesting.
the second book.
She wait, no, but I think no, because Killian has there's that bonus scene with Killian. She wakes up in the
Oh,
first book because
yes, at the
it
end.
ends with the
Can I
bonus
say
scene.
how much I love those bonus scenes? Because you get to
Me
the
too.
last chapter and you're like, oh no, 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 how's this book
Yeah.
over? How is it over? And then you turn the page, like you always do, and you're like, is it really over? And you're like, it's not.
There's this bonus scene. No, because
Yes,
she definitely wakes up in the first book and like they're
yes.
like
And Killian
and
like
it's with
nursed her.
Killian in Killian's bed.
Yeah.
And so all that happens with Killian, and then at the end you think, oh, is Killian gonna tell her? You think, oh, Killian's gonna, and then you get his POV, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I loved getting it from his
Yeah.
perspective, that scene.
Yeah.
And then we go to the
Book
next book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Book 2. She doesn't.
So good,
Should
you
we
guys. Obviously, you're listening because you've read the book.
Yeah.
If you did not read the book, you need to stop what you're doing and do that all day today.
Yeah. What are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
Get the audiobook if you want.
The audiobook is beyond good. Reading the book is beyond good. The chapters are so thick. I love how big the chapters are.
Me too. And they're titled. I love the titles.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. Okay.
Book 2.
Yeah, we'll go on to book 2 next episode.
Slide
Okay, you guys?
slide into book 2.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
All right.
Stay tuned for book 2.